May I welcome the Minister to the House, and may I acknowledge in particular her great efforts to make sure this bill has got this far. And may I acknowledge my former colleague in Cork South West, former Minister Jim Daly, who worked very hard to make sure that this piece of legislation went through the early parts of scrutiny. And I think it's a really important day. I think it's a really important day for so many people. My office, like many offices, have been somewhat inundated by people about when this piece of legislation was going to happen, when the actual legislation is going to be signed into law. And maybe the Minister might come back and clarify her timelines regarding this piece of legislation coming into law itself. Will it be the 90-day lag, or is there a proposed date of mind? The Minister in her own time might inform the House. But this piece of legislation in many ways brings peace of mind to a farming and a business community that, unfortunately, since the setup of this Fair Care deal, have felt that they've been disfranchised, that they've been literally left a legacy of debt because of the actual 3-year rule itself. This change in the 3-year rule is a really important step. It really steps out how an actual family can deal with the issues like so many of my senators here have mentioned today, issues of family members that need to go into nursing care. And I think it is, in many ways, giving people a peace of mind. And I think that's really it. And it's people who aren't in nursing care settings, are not even hoping to go there for an awful long time, but they had this fear, this worry, what if? And I think this is a really important piece of legislation because of that. It brings, real clarity to an issue that there was, unfortunately, a real liability on particularly small family farms. And we've all heard the horror stories of having to sell portions of land because of exceptional long-term care, which had a huge legacy issue of the entire family itself. And as a society, if you were to take us society at the moment, I think we have 700,000 people over 66. They're telling us by 2050 we'll have 1.8 million over 66 by 2050. And that shows you how the demographic is changing and how society is changing as well. So planning and scenario planning for the future is going to be a huge issue. I think that's probably one of the big debates we're going to have in this House and many Oireachtas going forward, how we're going to work with our community and our society to find a competent and a caring place for our elderly, and whether or not we can actually amend and change other schemes going forward to have a kind of home care deal that might be a fair care model, and how that can be actually tied in together is something that I'd be very interested in the Minister's view, because a cohort of society and people will probably do whatever they can, like I've heard my colleagues mention here today, do whatever they can to keep their loved ones at home. How can the state come in to help them during those troublesome years and troublesome times? But Minister, it's a really positive step. You might clarify those few issues if you possibly could, but I again want to thank you for your hard work in delivering a really important bill for society. Thank you.